back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on. And we're back. All you Arsenal fans that were crying about signing players, we're making movements. Bruno Guimarães seems to be, ticking ever closer. We got to say, we got to urge caution and tranquillo and things like that. Apparently, Barcola's got 150 million euros price tag. That's probably consistent with what we've seen come out in recent years, recent weeks and days, actually. Rodgers is still being linked, and we're being linked again with Antonio Nusa, man. So, yeah, man, what do you lot think of Bruno Guimarães to Arsenal specifically? Joining the voting. Big up the Twitch gang. Make sure you're subscribing with Amazon Prime. If you're on Twitch, Links, big up yourself. Campstar, we are back, man. Big up yourself. At the beginning of the window, he was expected to say, as soon as Arsenal come knocking, his stance changes. When you're big, you're big. You are, but it's a game of poker, especially these kind of players, isn't it? Like, again, I don't want to keep saying the same things that I've said around Bruno and whatnot, and I did do a video yesterday. But in short, obviously, one thing we always have to bear in mind is we're just armchair experts. The narratives that are being pushed, whether they're true or not, like, again, just for argument's sake, obviously we all want Bruno Guimarães, isn't it? But if you read the rumors, he's available, we're trying to get him. In the actual world of football, this might be wide of the mark. Obviously, for Bruno Guimarães, Newcastle and Arsenal, there's a lot of moving parts. Now, for Bruno, you've seen Isaac depart, Gordon's departed. Who else has departed? Isaac, Gordon, Tonali's car. There's somebody else I'm missing out. You never want to be the last one out of a rave. Who wants to leave a party when the lights are being turned on, the cleaners and whatnot? And that's exactly Newcastle. Now, my heart bleeds for Newcastle because they had a terrible transfer window last season. Their season was a bit mixed. I do think, when they have Champions League, it's a bit mixed. When they have to go back to one game a week, they'll fix it up. Now, obviously, Bruno has to ask himself, firstly, Newcastle you lot and Newcastle has been a match made in heaven. Brazilian passion. His kid was born in Newcastle. Newcastle, like, obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan, innit? Away from, like, if I was a footballer and we'd all want to play for our team in Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. When you get away from all of that kind of stuff, Newcastle's a team that you would want to play for. Their fans are, like, football's a religion over there. They love you. If you fuck with them, they'll love you. He obviously won a trophy there. He's 28, so he's got a lot to consider. He's obviously comfortable. His family are probably cool there and whatnot. But there's a lot of attractions beyond the obvious to making this Arsenal move. Obviously, what I've been alluding to, Newcastle's situation is very different to Arsenal. We've won a league. We've got to 2 finals. We're trying to compete again. Newcastle's in a bit of a rebuild. He's 28. People look at 28 and think, oh, my God, that's 98. No, you're not. You're here for the present. You've got to seize these current years, innit? We can get 3 to 5 years out of him. And then when he gets to 32 and that, he could become the Norgard, like a squad kind of filler. Obviously, you've got a bunch of Brazilian players. You've seen firsthand when you've gone to duels with Arsenal and actually the progress, because with us going from 2022, 23 to where we are now, we've had some good little battles with Newcastle. What I would say, Bruno, some of the challenges you get away with, the Arsenal tax is going to be crazy. So, obviously, he probably does want to leave. Now, naturally, Newcastle don't want to see all their key players leave because, it sends a bad message. Obviously, every manager wants good players. They're trying to rebuild. I don't know who their replacements are. If we get this deal done, great. But, like, we're seeing 65, 70. Obviously, if you're Newcastle, he might be worth more than 60, 70. Beyond the obvious reasons as to what I just said. What I mean by that is he's a key part to Eddie Howe's system. That 60, 70 odd million they get on top of all the transfer money they had anyways, on top of all that stuff, that's great. But are they going to be able to replace Bruno Guimarães direct quality for direct quality? They might get another one that in a few years we're talking about signing. But for what Guimarães is on the 9th of July, I don't know. Now, obviously, he's had the World Cup. Berta's obviously juggling many plates. Obviously, from what we've seen or what we can make sense of, it's gone from, okay, his agents have offered him out to clubs, Arsenal via third parties. All right, Bruno, we like, the manager likes him. He's a player that we can maneuver with, yada, yada, yada. There's obviously been some degree of encouragement. Like Arsenal have clearly said, you know what? and his agent. Personal terms are not going to be a problem. Does he want to sign for us? We've got enough encouragement. And we're nowhere near signing him yet because obviously it's significant that he's informed Newcastle of his desire to leave, but we haven't seen club-to-club direct contact. Verbal agreements or verbal bids have been rejected. Nothing official in it. So we do have to sit tight. But Bruno's done his bit. He's come back from the World Cup. He obviously wants to get into a new situation. He's informed Newcastle I want to leave. Newcastle are going to want decent money. Now for Arsenal, how far are we prepared to go? For me, 65, 70 million, maybe just a bit more than 70 odd million, 73-ish. Once it gets beyond that, it's crazy. But for what it's worth, the names we're linked with. If you could go and grab Bruno Guimarães, Morgan Rogers, maybe a Nusa or a Barcola. Antonio Nusa is probably more attainable based on the reports. These are level raisers. And you know what? To have Zubamendi, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Rice, Bruno Guimarães, we've got great options there, really. The one thing I would say, though, is I find myself talking to a lot of Newcastle fans owing to TalkSport, innit? Like, they've got a lot of them, and they were shocked that Anthony Gordon went to Barcelona. Like, in short, it's almost like I rated Anthony Gordon a lot more than them. They can't believe they got 100 odd million for Tonali. Bruno Guimarães, when they talk about him, they actually say he ain't really got legs like that. So I do think he could deputize for Rice, but it's not really like a direct like for like. There were several times where we wanted to rest Rice, we couldn't. And I look at the West Ham game, you know, big up Trossard, because we'll remember that. Obviously, big up VAR. But if you remember, Rice went right back. And our midfield was a madness. So if you did have a Tonali, a Bruno Guimarães in that same situation, maybe Rice still goes right back, or maybe Zubi goes there, but you don't lose that in midfield. We need that. If you could have Lewis-Skelly, Zubamendi, Rice, Guimarães, of course, we're looking at 50+ games. So while I wouldn't advocate for it, you will have to be a bit cute and clever with the fixture calendar list around playing, utilizing Marino in a bunch of positions, much less in midfield. The same goes for Kai Havertz. Then if you do get Rodgers, he applies to this. But on paper, you got Wanyeri, you got Odegaard, you got Eze, you got cute and clever things that you could do, people. And I wouldn't go this far, but I wonder if Arteta has been given food for thought based on Martinelli's role in the Brazil squad. You've seen him kind of play up front, play behind the striker in the Odegaard kind of role, obviously play left wing. Saeed, one love, man. Thomas, Bruno, Rice, midfield, Joe, bro, it's nasty, you know, it's nasty. And even some games, I want Lewis-Skelly to play in midfield, yeah, but there could be scenarios where you've got right, like we're gonna have bare possession, sorry. You got Rice, you got Bruno Guimarães. On paper, Lewis-Skelly's left back, go and invert. There's so many things that we can kind of do and can have some good relationships. Rice and Zubi is a good relationship. Lewis-Skelly and Rice is a good relationship. Bruno Guimarães with a Lewis-Skelly or a Rice or a Zubi, whatever have you type of thing. We ain't been exposed to Zubi and Lewis-Skelly, and as much as I rate Zubi, mainly because I'm still got the second half of the season fresh, and obviously Lewis-Skelly's great, but he's young. I don't know how that would look, but these are the options we're going to have. 9 times out of 10, we're going to see the same kind of way of playing with Mikel Arteta. Like, if it was a meal every week, Arteta wants rice and peas and jerk chicken, but sometimes I have to get curry chicken. This is where these other things are, and that's the going to the next step in it. It's all about the drop off. Like, if Zubamendi, for example, wrestles back his spot from Guimarães, then you've got a good squad player. If you know Guimarães and Rice make it themselves, then the floor and the ceiling's indirectly been raised. I hope I'm making sense here. Rice plus Bruno for now, and Bawardi MLS for the future. A part of me hopes, you know what? Bawardi stay one more season at Leo. We'll circle back for a striker and you next season, really. And I would like Bawardi. You know, I'm torn and I'm conflicted. I like Bawardi. He's a bit of an exception to the rule because he's played 90 odd times for Leo. Seen him play in the Champions League. He's obviously doing his thing for Morocco. So he's young, but he's not really like, he's not the average kind of 18-year-old that's wet between the years, isn't it? As much as I like him, I am conflicted because I do think you could help us in the short, medium, and like you're alluding to, the future, the long term. Bruno Guimarães is like now in it, and I do think as a football club we do talk about the past a lot in it. Like, we won the title, and away from the excitement, I thought, right, like in the last 4 years, including the year we won the title, we probably could have and should have picked up some more trophies. Neither here nor there. The future's the future, and we don't know what's going to happen, but you know, we know what we've got some players for the future and whatnot. I'd want us to seize the present, and I think Guimarães is that. Like, you can be here for 3-4 years, and in the next 3-4 years, you might miss out on Bawad. There's always guys coming out, man. Smash the like button if you haven't. MLS is the next big thing. I swear, we need to give him some game time, bro. Lewis-Skelly needs to stay, and he's going to be involved, man. The elbowing of Jorginho. He signs for us. It's all good now, man. We forgive Donny. Bruno added to this midfield is options. Better get it done. Smash the likes. Bruno and Rice is genuinely top 3 midfielders in the world. I mean, let him sign for Arsenal first. I wouldn't quite say Guimaraes is top 3, top 5 midfielder in the world. I know the World Cup has exposed systems and whatnot, but I would say if there's one midfielder that's in that kind of top 3, top 4, top 5 conversation from Arsenal, it probably is Declan Rice. But, come and sign for us. And it's like, we know what we're getting with Bruno Guimarães, isn't it? Oh, you mean midfield as a duo? Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Bro, I think everybody's on that. Like, there can't be an Arsenal fan who don't want this. I did see someone in my comments saying I would have preferred Tonali. I just think that Guimaraes makes more sense. We've wanted him, before Berta was here, and actually even Arteta, mainly Edu and whatnot. We wanted him when he was in Brazil. We all wanted him, like us on this YouTube channel. We wanted him when he was at Lyon. Obviously at Newcastle, we've been waxing lyrical. Bring him, bro. It makes sense. Like, he can score head beyond the obvious reasons. We all know he's got passing range and he gets all about in midfield. He can play as a 6 or an 8, and we all know on paper, forget what we've got at the club. He is an Arsenal midfielder, but he's shown an aerial ability, set pieces as well. We're gonna let him and Rice on set pieces. It's nasty, not for us though. But yeah, man, let's see what's going on in the tabloids. Bruno Guimarães informs Newcastle of wish to join Arsenal. David Ornstein said this yesterday. Bruno Guimarães has informed Newcastle of his wish to leave St. James's Park and join Arsenal. The Premier League champions are stepping up their pursuit of the 28-year-old and have indicated a willingness to pay up to 60 million for the midfielder. The Athletic reported in June that Arsenal had a verbal offer worth below 60 million rebuffed. We still technically ain't put. There's obviously talks going on in the back burners, but we ain't. There's not been any, like, nothing, no email or fax or phone call has gone from North London to Newcastle to our knowledge, and the bid hasn't been accepted or rejected. It's a step in the right direction. Bruno showed his hand. Obviously, for Bruno to go and talk, man, players do this all the time, but Bruno has to have been given some encouragement from Arsenal. Yo, we're on you. Like, we've enticed him for him to sit there and say, you know what, Newcastle, I've had a good run, but it's time for us to cut. And I always say this, obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I'm on the receiving end if we get Guimarães, in it. Newcastle want you to stay, and I'm sure a part of him wants to stay. It can't be easy. You've built family life there. It's great. I'm sure it's a job like anyone. I'm sure you fuck with Eddie Howe and that. I'm sure he's doing this with a heavy heart, but you've got to be selfish, because let's just assume Arsenal go and win the next 4 or 5 for the 4. It's not gonna happen, but in the next 4 or 5 years, like, he's 28 in it. So in the next 5 years, let's just say we win the league and the Champions League every season and whatnot. He might give up on that opportunity and stay at Newcastle. What's going to happen when he gets to 32? Because this is what I say with a lot of footballers, and you lot that here can quote me. When he's sitting there and saying, I'm 31, I'm 32, can you give me a 2-year deal? Rightly so, Newcastle are probably going to say, and this goes for other clubs, we'll give you a 1-year deal. He's not going to be shown that loyalty. So I always say footballers need to do what they want, whether it works out or not. Newcastle insisted at the time they would not entertain bids for Guimarães. There's been no club-to-club contact so far, and the North East side are currently maintaining that position. So they're still saying he's not for sale. There's been no club-to-club contact. Berta's probably juggling several plates. We got to sit patient, but it's nice that we're moving in the right direction. But until he's holding his shirt, anything can happen. Yeah, man. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Now, Newcastle's thing is probably just give us 1 more year. We're trying to rebuild. We'll probably sell you for less next summer. Because, again, they're replacements. So I don't know. But this is their highest opportunity to sell him for the biggest fee. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He signed a 5-year extension in 2023. That deal had a temporary release clause of 100 million inserted. There was a time, and I might be capping. Oh, it's hot in the United Kingdom. I'm sure there was a time he was very aggressively linked with City. But, yeah, it is what it is. As we know, Newcastle have sold Anthony Gordon to Barcelona for 69.3 million. Tonali has joined Spurs in an offer of up to 100. We all know Guimarães was part of the Brazil squad that was eliminated by Norgard. So I hope Gabriel Magalhaes, Gabriel Martinelli in the World Cup squad were doing whatever. Gabriel Jesus must have his phone number. I hope after the game, the initial disappointment of Brazil going out, I hope Norgard said, yeah, don't worry, man, you're winning the league with us next year. The midfielder has established himself as a key player for Newcastle since joining from Lyon in 2022. He's made 153 Premier League appearances and got 30 goals and 26 assists, people. He did say in 2025 on Newcastle, this is my second home. We're making history. Someday when I leave this club, I want the fans to sing my name the way they do for Alan Shearer. Arsenal are apparently determined to get their man. Apparently, we've been admirers of Guimarães for some time. And it seems Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta are determined to get their man this summer. Bruno would be a Premier League ready option for Arteta's midfield, able to either feature as a partner or alternative to Rice. Given the demands on Rice over the last 12 months and counting, he's still kicking ball for England. And we are doing a watch along for France versus Morocco. Make sure you're there live 10 minutes before kickoff, 8:50 today, people. An experienced addition to Arteta's midfield options is arguably all the more necessary. My hot take is, I think Zubi might get homesick sooner rather than later, and go back to Spain. It's nothing to. I like him. I want him to stay, but I just think he's one of them. So I have to see. At 28, Bruno would be at the older end of Arsenal's recruitment range, with the club willing to listen to offers for the likes of Gabriel Jesus, Christian Norgard, and Leandro Trossard. Perhaps Arsenal's reason is they need to offset those potential departures by introducing some leadership and experience. What is this think piece, people? Now, I didn't read this yesterday, but if Newcastle were to sell Guimaraes and Tonali during the same summer, then they may as well just give up now. Now, I disagree with that because at the end of the day, time goes on. Newcastle can't afford to give up. It's a bitter pill to swallow. How you replace that from a tactical point of view, what your first choice midfield is, only God could tell you that. But yeah, it must feel a bit annoying as a Newcastle fan. You've seen you had to sell Elliot Anderson owing to, FFP. He's gone Nottingham Forest. He's now playing for England. He's obviously now playing for City. Tonali's cut after he got stuck by him with the whole whatever. And Tonali don't owe them nothing, in the same way Newcastle could have said, you know what, you got the ban, fuck you type of thing. Isaac, they still remember last summer. They all remember how last summer was mad for them in terms of recruitment. You get where I'm going, people. But it is what it is. As an Arsenal fan, we've been in, bro. I've seen Henry, Vieira, Cesc Fabregas, the list will go on time and time again. And mainly during that early stage Emirates era, like we were selling players all the time, but there would be a couple of seasons like we might get Nasri, Cesc, all of these kind of guys together. And just when, obviously it needed to happen, but just when we're kind of building something, ransacked. So my heart defo bleeds for Newcastle, but you'll be back in it. The optics that would send for supporters and to current and prospective buyers would be terrible and would compound what has already been a challenging off-season, which is true. But then you could flip it and say, because they seem to be going for younger recruits. Again, when they bought Anthony Gordon, not everyone was universally sold. Tonali, talented player. Don't know why he ended up at Newcastle. He did. Guimaraes was there. They took chances. So I disagree. Of course, the optics and whatnot would be bad, but you could argue these players that are coming in, if you're a midfielder, Tonali and Thingy are gone, I'm gonna get games, and fair enough, Newcastle, they got money. One day they're gonna be able to spend Champions League 1-2 years. I disagree with that. Like, obviously the fans are gonna go, be pissed. But yeah, man. Guimaraes is Newcastle captain, their talisman who has had an emotional bond with supporters. Removing from that side, and Newcastle lose their creative heartbeat and offensive purpose, as the statistics when he does not feature prove. With Gordon and Isaac having already left over the past 10 months and Tonali set to follow, Newcastle losing 3 of their best players is already hard enough for Eddie Howe to deal with. But were he to see Guimaraes depart too, even if the money on offer was, brother, what word is that? I'm just going to say a lot. Exorbitant. I tried, people. Which this proposal via an intermediary was not. Then Eddie Howe would head into 2026-27 with an inexperienced and untested side. Rightly, Newcastle insists Guimaraes is not for sale, and they have no intention of allowing the Brazilian international to leave. I guess how far is Guimaraes willing to go to get this move done? Because it seemed like the Anthony Gordon one, clearly Eddie Howe and Newcastle knew that was happening. Because I remember Eddie Howe's comments when he said, "Yeah, we got to prepare for life beyond him." He kind of got dropped towards the end of the season. So that one was probably in the works were in motion for that a long time ago. Tonali probably shocked, but 100-odd million quid, you're going to do that. Isaac was the one with the most bad blood. Guimaraes, I didn't think they'd let go of all of them. And my big thing was, if we want Guimaraes, great. But A, we know we have to overpay a bit. And how much are we willing to do that? B, it don't really, for me, I'm not really interested in how much Arsenal want Guimaraes or Guimaraes want Sasa and all of that. Because I like that, I hear that. It just comes down to Newcastle and Arsenal, can you agree a fee? And also on top of that, I would also say we're getting the last one, innit? Like Gordon was wrapped up quickly to Barcelona. Tonali, that accelerated fast. The Guimaraes one, obviously Newcastle, they probably don't want to lose him. They have got money because they're rich now. I know they're crippled by FFP. They've probably centered recruitment around replacements. And also on top of that, you don't want to. They probably didn't expect to lose all of them, innit? But that's their business. We're going to see what this article is saying in a sec. But yeah, what are you guys saying? Big up yourself, Rude Star, man. League Cup for Newcastle is massive, and the club should let any player help them get there, do whatever, like Eze from Palace. Newcastle need a coach that can draw players. Eddie Howe takes you too far so far. It's true. You could argue if they had Jose people on the side, but at the same time with Newcastle, you could look at going to Newcastle in two ways. It's a massive club. They'll fuck with you. They've had some great nights. They've won a league. They've won a trophy. They've obviously got Champions League football. They've given people some scary nights. So you could be on that, or you could look at Guimaraes, look at Tonali, look at Gordon, maybe look at Isaac, like, right, I'll get my foot in the door at Newcastle. I'll do my thing for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever have you. These other clubs will make movements. Unfortunately, it's the food chain. It's like one day Saliba's going to go Real Madrid. Like, these are the things that happen. Man United, biggest club, arguably, with Liverpool in the land. You know, them times there, Ferguson was winning everything. Cristiano Ronaldo said, I still want to go Real Madrid. This is the food chain, bro. Let's see what Sammy Motebell has said. And smash the likes, people. Hyper appreciate you for that one. Smash the likes, people. Let's get the engagement, man. Arsenal target Guimaraes asks us to leave Newcastle. Bruno Guimarães has asked to leave Newcastle, with Arsenal accelerating their interest in the midfielder. Again, I'm trying to skip through the tosh. The Gunners had looked into approaches for either Guimaraes or Tonali, who's obviously gone to Spuds. During discussions aimed at checking the financial conditions of a deal for Guimaraes, it's understood a fee of around 60 million was initially imitated with the 28-year-old's reps. I can't lie, 60 million, 65, 70 for me, get it done. Although Newcastle have had no direct contact from Arsenal, Mikel Arteta's side are now poised to make a fresh approach for Guimaraes, who missed the penalty for Brazil. I mean, you know what, missing penalties, that's another confirmation to say for Arsenal, in it, people. It is what it is. An Arsenal trendsetters. Gabriel Magalhaes missed a penalty. Every time I watch the World Cup, I don't know why centre-backs are all taking pens, but it is what it is. As things stand, it's understood Arsenal only want one leading central midfielder, with Bournemouth's Alex Scott, Lille's Bowardi also being considered. Newcastle do not want to lose Guimaraes, the team's captain and talisman, having already sold Tonali and Gordon this transfer window. As well as Tonali, there have been major sales of midfielders so far this summer, including Mateus Fernandes going for 85 million, City getting Elliot Anderson for 116. I'm not gonna lie, Guimaraes is a bit of a deal still, if I'm honest with you. With the 28-year-old with Guimaraes turning 29 in November, the age of the Brazilian is likely to emerge as a key factor in how much Arsenal will be willing to pay. This article has also said, Norgard is someone that could listen to. It could also bring into question Martin Zubimendi's role as a regular starter in Arteta's starting 11 next season, which is true. I want competition for places. Naturally, obviously, Dalman needs to develop a bit, but right now, you want Odegaard, Eze, Wanyeri, Dalman all fighting on that in that role. You want the pivot fighting. You want our defenders, Hincapié thinking, Calafiori's there. Obviously, on paper, if they're both fit, Timber and White, who's going to play? Our centre-backs. Do you need this competition? Raya's the only one that's cool, because Kepa's not talking to you, and Millie is definitely not talking to you people. But yeah, let's progress. Again, everybody's saying the same thing. We're expected to test Newcastle's resolve with a first official bid. Key phrase there, official bid. He signalled his desire to leave and join the Premier League champions. Standard Sport understands, reported in June as well, that Arsenal had held initial talks with Guimaraes reps to gauge his availability after Newcastle missed out Champions League. We're encouraged to signal their interest. We proposed a bid of around 55 million. 2 weeks later, and Arsenal have now responded further encouragement from the player and are expected to begin club-to-club talks with Newcastle with an official offer. Once again, Newcastle insists he's not for sale at any price. We know they've lost several people. He's got 2 years left on his deal. To be fair, essentially free, because it's the first article that says he's got an option to extend by a further 12 months. Arsenal have had a low-key start to the summer transfer window. Pierre Hincapié's loan was turned into a permanent deal for 35 million. Former Leeds goalkeeper Millier is set to join on a free transfer. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this further develops, people. Keith Downey of Sky Sports. Newcastle are not denying reports tonight, obviously yesterday, that Guimaraes is asked to leave the club. We understand Arsenal have made no contact with Newcastle over the availability of the player, similar to the situation with Tonali in January. But it's understood conditions of the deal have been explored via agents/intermediaries, but no direct club-to-club contact. Newcastle have no interest in selling the Brazilian. Their stance has been consistent all summer. They insist their captain is not for sale and they're not welcoming any bids. I mean, nobody wants to sell good players, innit? I'm sure everyone's got a price. I'm sure when the time comes for Wharton, Crystal Palace don't want to sell him. Crystal Palace didn't want to sell Eze. Who else is there? Tonali, Newcastle don't want to get rid. Elliot Anderson, Nottingham Forest's case, etc., etc. Jerry, big up yourself, my boy. Big up yourself. Plattenberg confirmed. Newcastle have just agreed to deal with Mozambique. He's cold. I know Newcastle fans won't be interested because, yeah, they're potentially losing Guimaraes, but he's cold. And you know what? Big up yourself, Jerry. It's interesting, completely off topic, but on topic with midfielders. I think some of your fans, it's interesting, I would say, looking at Man United fans around Andre Santos, because some are fucking with it, some are not. I think he's a smart addition. Of all the people that we've bought from Chelsea, I wouldn't mind that now. obviously I prefer Guimaraes. I'm happier, but if they got Santos, I think our fans would start crying as well. But I'd have him. Romano's offered his 2 pence and said Bruno Guimaraes deal driven by Mikel Arteta, who's pushing to bring him in. Deal depends on Newcastle's stance, but Arsenal to bid again. Plus personal terms, not an issue at all. No intermediaries, agents, Bellucci, Kaya Jarupkin, and Alexis Malavolta all on it together. They want big names, but we all want big names, but the big name thing is dead sometimes. Like sometimes, and I think a lot of clubs, definitely mine, some players we've gone to love, but when we brought in 1-2 man, they haven't been setting the world alight. Apart from Leipzig, German team get deals done quickly. Newcastle will eventually sell probably for 75, 80. I don't think they'll get 80, 75. I'm on that because I think if I'm honest, we're probably giving you 10 million more than we want new people. So it'd be interesting. Guimaraes has asked to leave. He wants to join Arsenal, but his club will only engage if contacted by the Premier League champions. So for all the talk, there's been no bids. They're braced for an offer. The Gunners and their lead. I'm reading 2 things. The Magpies were braced for an offer from the Gunners after leading agents were instructed to explore the Brazilians' options. The verbal offer via intermediaries was dismissed, but we understand further discussions around numbers have now taken place. Sources say this is Arsenal's second offer. However, Newcastle sporting director Ross Wilson will not consider any approach until it's made official, which is fair enough. You can't, you hear little things through the grapevine, but there's nothing officially on you lot's desk to accept or reject or begin any kind of further discussions in it. There's astonishment inside St. James's Park that Arsenal transfer chief Berta has not made contact despite their interest in the 28-year-old. Bro, it will shout you soon, just corner. We've been told that intermediaries believe a fee of around 75 million could see progress. Now that Guimaraes has communicated his wish to leave, but Newcastle are determined to keep their captain. He's 2 years left to run in his contract. They've got an option to extend by 12 months. We're keen to obviously improve our midfield. So at this point, they're regurgitating the same thing. Graham Bailey has said Arsenal are preparing to launch their opening bid for Morgan Rogers after making significant advancements in discussions with the players' reps. Aston Villa are demanding a fee comfortably in excess of 100 million to even begin discussions. So what, 75 for Guimaraes, 100 give or take. We're looking at 200 odd million summer, really and truly. And outgoings. We're going to circle back into a lot of things, but I don't want to miss anything, people. I don't think I have. Mikel Arteta is pushing to sign Guimaraes. This is not the first time Arsenal have been linked with Guimaraes. Arteta is driving this interest. He's a big fan of the player. I think we all are. Arsenal want Bruno Guimaraes. Arsenal's opening bid was 55 million, rejected by Newcastle. Then last week, Arsenal indicated to Newcastle via the player's agent they're ready to reach 65 million, but Newcastle still closed the door. My understanding is that on the player side, Guimaraes wants to go to Arsenal. He wants to be respectful to Newcastle. He's not saying sell me or create issues. That's really important to mention, but he really wants to go to Arsenal. My understanding from sources involved say that a transfer fee around 90 million could be the beginning of the discussion. Arsenal, from my understanding, are not offering 90 million at this stage. It's the 75 all in, man. And again, his agents, people have been involved, and you know, they've set up deals before for Magalhaes and David Luiz. So it'd be interesting to see how this develops. Again, people, I want to make sure we're smashing the like button. If you've hit the like button, great. We're doing terrible though, man. 19 likes, you lot taking the piss. So yeah, Guimaraes' agents is understood to have given Arsenal encouragement that the player wants to leave Newcastle this summer. Chronicle Live, apologies, understands Arsenal have been told an offer of over 60 million could be enough to sign him. So we've seen as low as 60, mid-range of 65 to 75 million, and we just saw as high as 90 million. I don't think we're doing that. Because then if they're saying 90 million, then we might as I know the different players, but they both play in midfield. You might as well just go over there, Bawardi, throw our hat in the ring there, in it. And he's informed them of his wish to leave. David Ornstein said, people. So yeah, man, what are you lot saying? Zubi will play 6 with Bruno if Rice is not available. Simple. But I'm here for as I said earlier, Lewis Kelly, Zubamendi, Guimaraes, Rice. You lot fight it out to be the first choice throughout a season. There's different things we could do. I'm cool. And I'm happy because probably since in September, we would have been on YouTube for 10 years, innit? There's a running joke with some of my regulars here that I'm always crying. We're always crying for midfielders. It'll be finally time for me to shut the fuck up, pardon my language, about us in midfield. Because then I would actually genuinely be happy with the people that can play 6s or 8s and are likely to partner with each other or rival each other for a spot in that 3-man midfield. Specifically, the Zubamendis, the Lewis Kellys, the Brunos, if you sign him, the Declan Rices, them kind of players. Obviously, on top of that, you've got where I look at the 10 roles and maybe, you know, we could We might not use them pivot men on occasion, but the Dalmans, the Ezes, the Odegaards, the Kais, the Marinos, these kind of ones, I can finally shut up about midfield and circle back on left wing, because left wing is the biggest priority. They're all big priorities, but I would say left wing is the biggest priority because that one there has gone on for time, innit? If I'm completely honest with you, man. Rice and Bruno as a pivot, I'm here for it. Give them Nelly as Gordon's replacement. Nah, G, they need to be giving us 80 odd million. Bruno G would be a serious signing for you lot, I can't lie. We should have signed Jan Sommer instead of Millier. I hear it, you know. 100, get on to them. 106 watches, 17 likes. Not it, guys. Support the channel, hit the likes. Come on. And to everyone who has already, appreciate you. If the release clause is real, it's probably 65 million. I can see us do it for 70 max, but they know something. That's why the bid's low. Obviously, it's like any negotiations. If you're selling something, either on Vinted or whatever, and I want to buy it from you, you want to get a bit more. I want to get a bit less, naturally. So there's got to be, like, it's negotiations, in it. The best negotiations in life are when both you reach an agreement and both sides are not happy. If the sellers are happy or the buyers are happy, indirectly, somebody's lost in it. It's a trade-off, man, if I'm honest. Will we see a double pivot next season? Rice can be a lone six for me, but if he's out for the first half of the season, how do you see our midfield shaping up? Bro, if he's out, I can't lie. Big up Zubi. But I want to see Bruno Guimarães, Lewis Skelly, and, well, Eze, Odegaard, one of you has to be available. I know you're at the World Cup, if I'm honest. It'll be interesting because a lot of man can play a 6 and 8. I think Rice and Bruno would work because I think many people think Bruno does get around a bit, but I wouldn't say he's got an engine like Rice. If anything, I want to see Rice continue to play deeper. And kind of what we want to see with Zubi, kind of let Bruno, I don't know the word, didn't it? Like conduct the strings, pick the locks, if that kind of makes sense. Nelly and Big Gabby, defo let him wear their medals. Yeah, man. I want profiles now. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. We need profiles. Big up yourself, man. We must walk away if they ask for more than 80. Boston, one love, man. Again, big names don't always work. If big name signings were everything, City wouldn't be where City are. I know they've obviously had big names, but when they signed Gundogan, when they signed Kevin De Bruyne, when they signed Bernardo Silva, these were all quote-unquote household names. These were guys we'd all want to be signed, but they weren't what they were. They took a chance. And I'd say for Arsenal, that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see us get that Mo Salah when he's called a Chelsea reject and people are pessimistic on what he did in Italy and can he correlate it? It's fair to say he went and done well. Mane when he's at Southampton, because this market's crazy. You've got two options. You either pay the going rate, obviously negotiations and whatnot, pay the going rate, or find these players, because Aston Villa have had Rodgers for 2 seconds. They're going to make profit. Wharton's been from Blackburn to Crystal Palace 2 seconds. Bournemouth get them all the time. Semenyo, Howson. When the time comes, Alex Scott and Kroupy. It's that kind of stuff. That I guess it's required, isn't it? If I'm honest. So yeah, we're preparing a launch for Morgan Rodgers. I want to see that. Romano said Arsenal are going to be busy in the next weeks of the transfer window. It's been quiet during the World Cup for Arsenal. They tried an approach for Guimarães. They've been working on Rodgers, but it's going to be busy in the next weeks. Take my hat off to you lot, man. Arteta, my guy. The players at Saliba and Rice, lovely. And Gabriel as well. Arteta, keep doing what you're doing. Josh Kroenke, keep doing what you're doing. Berta, I know you're going to keep doing what you're doing. I know you're going to do a madness for us this summer. Everyone just tranquillo. Gunner blogger said, Besiktas, I believe, are sending a delegation out to the US to meet with Trossard. I think Christos Zolis will probably be the guy who comes in. And I think that will be a deal that happens probably at about 40 million euros. It's not a marquee signing. Again, kind of talking about name brand, I ain't watching Club Brugge all the time, innit? From what I see, I don't mind him. Obviously, if he signs and he bangs, great. If it don't, move on. I think it's a good little squad filler, if I'm honest. And he looks very decent, if I'm honest. And he might have that burning desire because he went to Norwich, it didn't bang. He's returning to these shores, wanted to be serious. Whether you're bought for 40 million or 100, or if you're young like Dalman and Wanyeri and Lewis Skelly, or you're a household name like Rice, everyone should believe they could take someone's shirt. Obviously, egos at the door. It's all about the collective. I don't want friends. Friends don't mean you win stuff. I don't need friends. I don't want friends. If you're not in that starting, if you're a midfielder, there's only 3 men that can play in that midfield, you know. Make sure you're not left out. Because if everybody's on that, everyone will get their time. There's more silverware, and it's a parade in May again. Romano has said Arsenal will sign an important winger in this transfer window. It's not in doubt. The top priority remains Morgan Rodgers. The agreement with the player, from my understanding, is quite close. It's something that Arsenal see as close. Aston Villa are starting at 130 million. This could eventually be negotiated. We'll have to see what's going to happen in club-to-club negotiations, but Arsenal are working on Rodgers as a top priority. As things stand, Millier will arrive at Arsenal as third-choice goalkeeper, with his imminent arrival seeing Setford leave on loan. I'm happy Setford's going on loan. I can't lie, I think Millier's shit. I'll give everybody a chance. I think Kepa might as well be Van der Sar, Buffon, or all of them guys. Compared to you, I think you're mad shit. You'll get an opportunity. I hope you don't play, if I'm honest with you. I hope Arteta's learned his lesson, specifically if we get to a League Cup final, start the 30 keepers. He's literally going to be third choice on paper purely because, you know, you're more experienced than Tommy Setford. And that's the biggest thing. Because for a year or two, I've said, I like Setford. Whether he develops and plays for Arsenal or not, you need to go play men's football. You need to go be playing professional football somewhere where strikers and opposition teams are trying to bully you from set pieces, and you have to cope with them demands. As much as it's great training with Kepa and Raya and at Arsenal, you're not going to get to where you need to get to if in that regards. Literally on paper, until Kepa leaves, he would be third choice keeper. If Kepa was to leave tomorrow, which we're all expecting his imminent departure, yeah. He was linked with, I want to say either Lazio or Inter Milan. Don't quote me, people, but one of them Italian clubs were linked with him, and he's got a lot of interest from Italy. One of them bought a goalkeeper, so I don't know how much that plays a part, if I'm honest with you. So, yeah, man. Milia, I've watched your whole career, people. The Mail Sport did say a couple of days ago that Arsenal want to bring in 4 or 5 top quality signings this summer, another striker. If I'm honest, obviously, if we could grab Julian Alvarez or a market opportunity like Krupi, them kind of angles, or we've scouted some unknown entity. I'm just saying random names. Nobody knew Igor Thiago in it. He went Brentford. He had a good season last year. Unless we're doing that, I think personally the striker thing's parked off till next summer. A left-sided forward, we can't afford that not to be the case, but we need that. But yeah, man, another striker, a left-sided forward, a midfielder, a centre-back or full-back, and a goalkeeper all deemed necessary to supplement the squad. I'm here with that. And my hot take is, away from that, the fullback region, you know, because I've said if there's one illogical fear I have, it is the amount of minutes our players have played, the amount of players, our players have been wounded for the last 2 years. They're now playing at a World Cup, and it's mainly the spine of our squad: Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Saka, Rice, like these kind of players. They've got knocks in it. I don't want to, like, we dealt with injuries from August until the end of the season, but that would be the one thing that I am looking at, especially the first 5-10 games next season. That's my one illogical fear. And that's why I want the Guimaraes and whatnot of this world. And another hot take would be fullback. Nketiah and Calafiori, cold. You know, Timber, Rice, Rice as well. Timber, White, cool. But Rice and Timber picking up knocks. Nketiah and Calafiori, they pick up knocks. I'm not saying we need a fullback, but that area, monitor it closely, folks. Going back to what we saw about delegations being sent to talk to Besiktas or whatnot. Leandro Trossard's reps and lawyers are in Istanbul to finalize his transfer to Besiktas as well, by the way, folks. What's this if he wants to load? Apparently, reports out of Brazil are saying Guimaraes has reached a preliminary agreement with Arsenal regarding personal terms. Guimaraes has already given his approval for a move to Arsenal. The negotiations are heading towards an agreement that includes a lower fixed amount with additional incentives and bonuses. Fair play. Is there any updates here? Arsenal are expected to make their very first offer for Guimaraes to Newcastle. We've seen this. We're not missing anything. What's Marino said here? I'm very happy at Arsenal. I don't expect anything else. They make me feel as part of the family at the club. Yeah, you're part of my plans. You're clutch, bro. Arsenal prepare new bid for Guimaraes. Arteta wants him. 55 million already rejected. Second approach at 65 million package rejected too. Fee in between 65 and 90 could accelerate talk. So let's drop the 75, man. Bruno told Newcastle last week he wants Arsenal move, but won't create issues, leaving the decision in the club's hands. What are you lot saying for Barcola? PSG set 150 million euros price tag for Arsenal and Liverpool target Bradley Barcola. Probably getting cheaper next year. PSG have set 150 million euros price tag. So what's that, 130 like with Rodgers? According to a report from L'Equipe, the former Olympique Lyonnais winger could be on his way out of the French capital, with PSG expected to agree on a fee of 100 million euros with Leipzig to sign Diamande. The Ivory Coast international winger has already reached an agreement on personal terms with PSG. L'Equipe reports that from PSG's point of view, Barcola is not for sale. The Parisians wish to extend the 23-year-old's contract, which is set to expire in 2028. Contractual talks are on standby as long as Barcola remains involved with France's national team in America for the 2026 World Cup. However, should talks stall over a contract renewal, leaving PSG would be an option. In those circumstances, PSG have reportedly set 150 million euros price tag for Barcola. Realistically, those exit terms could only be met by English sides, intentionally trying to price him out of a move. No, L'Equipe reports that Arsenal and especially Liverpool are among the interested parties. The outlet adds PSG could be looking at a record summer transfer window in terms of outgoings, with a projected 300 million euros worth of sales. PSG have already wrapped up the exits of Ramos and Lee Kang-in for a combined 100 million euros. Koulibaly and Mbaye could also follow suit, leaving the French capital, people. Luke Edwards, who's a good journalist for Newcastle kind of stuff, I'm told Bruno is extremely emotional following Brazil's early exit from the World Cup. This is probably his last chance to secure a big money move to a team competing for a title in Champions League. But he does not want to tarnish his legacy at Newcastle and will only leave if clubs can agree a price. Newcastle's valuation is around 100 million they receive for Tonali. No chance they'll sell at 50, 60. Very unlikely Bruno goes down the same path as Isaac to force an exit, but he'd like a move to Arsenal, more to follow. Julian Alvarez remains among the options on Arsenal's table. Oh, fuck off. He wants to go Barcelona. Although the Argentine striker prefers to move to Barcelona, with the deal potentially reaching around 130 million. We've gone over this as well, people. But my understanding is that Millie is coming in to allow Setford to go out on loan. I'd expect that if Kepa, there's no way I can say Kepa's last name, is sold, we would see him replaced. I'd be very surprised if Arsenal went into next season with just Raya and Millie. And what? Jack Porter as the third choice. Arsenal and Tottenham are among 5 Premier League sides eyeing a move for Nusa. Team Talk understands after his impressive performances for Norway at the World Cup have put them on alert. I wouldn't be against it. 21-year-old renowned for his blistering pace, dribbling skills and versatility across the attacking three is attracting significant interest from Europe. He left Club Brugge and went to Leipzig in 2024 for 18-odd million, and we were linked with him then. He's also played a big part in Norway, obviously, as they're into the last 16/quarterfinals now. The Premier League is Nusa's most likely destination at this stage. Arsenal are understood to be monitoring the player closely as they look to bring in a new left-sided attacker. Spurs have long admired the youngster and made contact with the agents before. Newcastle have shown concrete interest, with sources suggesting they expect an approach from the Magpies as they look to bolster their wide options. Crystal Palace and Aston Villa are among the clubs keeping tabs. Away across the continent, AC Milan and Napoli admire him, and he's also got interest from Atletico Madrid. Roma apparently did scouting. Barcelona apparently scouting the Norwegian, but yeah, they're about to get Karim Adeyemi. You're not laughing at my Karim Adeyemi shouts, are you? And obviously they got Gordon. Interestingly, though, Leipzig value him quite highly, and apparently sources indicate an asking price in the region of 50 to 60 million euros. 51.4 million quid. 0.3, sorry. I'm on that. Apparently, the Bundesliga club are generally reluctant to sell, but could be tempted by the right package. Sources indicate that 50 million euros could indeed well be enough. Meanwhile, he's said to be open to a new challenge, and he's, enticed by the prospect of playing at the highest level possible and also in the Premier League. He's got a deal until 2029, so it'll be quite tricky. Arsenal must help shatter a man. What is this? What is this? This is something piece. I'm not involved. Did you know Barcelona and Arsenal are among the clubs with the most players still completing at the World Cup? Going back to what I said about my logical fear, people. So it'll be quite interesting. We're still linked with Alex Scott, all of these kind of players, people. So yeah, man, like everybody's just gonna regurgitate the same old things at this point in time. So yeah, we've gone over the transfer a bit. Would you play Norgard centre back instead of getting Konza? Nah. Go and get a centre back. Or Berta just scouts to your job, man, because we were linked with Gurhey and Howson, and they were a lot more expensive. Bro, you found Mascara in it, so must be able to do that again. Must be able to do that kind of stuff again. Tabs DG, I'm dying. Hey, man, you live. As Mo has said, smash the likes, you fraud. Bruno G and Rice, best midfield duo in the league. New bid today, 72 million plus add-ons. Arsenal interested in Nusa for 40-50. Bruno's pure speculation. I think it's accelerated a bit. Millie played 0 minutes last season. Hopefully that's still the same. That's still the same case. Millie signing makes book sense. What's a roster? I'm not sure what you're asking me there. If soccer clubs can draft any player they want, why aren't clubs just stacking their rosters with 6'5" genetically gifted Europeans like Erling Haaland? Bro, you're gonna have to ask someone. The players who play for your club is your roster. What's this roster shout? Haaland is one of one. Others of similar profile levels below in that talent. Bro, teams can buy whoever the hell they want, bro. Dortmund's scouted. He went Germany. Dortmund took him. He's at City now, and I do think he'll play for Real Madrid or Barcelona one day. It seems like that's the natural kind of thing for Haaland. One of the best strikers in Premier League history already, to be fair, and world football. Like Haaland's cold at football, isn't it? Let's see if there's anything else Arsenal related that's that you seen. Anyone having the Paraguay keeper? What's this? I don't believe this. But just to see what they're saying. Same old BS there. What's this? Bro, fuck off. Arsenal want to sign a top winger. The name, the top priority they have in mind is Morgan Rogers. Arsenal want to sign Morgan Rogers. The agreement with the player, from my understanding, is quite close. It's quite close. It's something that Arsenal see as close, not a problem, but Villa want to start 130. Well, they know they're not going to get that. Well, we've seen this already. Oh, same regurgitated crap. What's this? I've been told that Arsenal made significant progress on personal terms with Aston Villa attacking midfielder Morgan Rogers. One source even went as far as saying there's already an agreement in principle on the player's 5-year contract. Others weren't quite as gung-ho as yet, but the feeling has been clear for a while that he's their top target. He wants to move to the Emirates Stadium and things are progressing. We know about their asking price. So you've not really said anything new there, but nonetheless, there's that in it. Just get these players in, man. Just get these players in, man. We're finally getting a move on. Subscribe with Amazon Prime for free to support the guy. Big up the Twitch bot as well, people. So with that being said, well, there ain't nothing else to talk about. We've gone over it. So yeah, man, I'm gonna love and leave you lot. Don't forget, people, we're gonna be back at 10 to 9 because we're gonna watch France versus Morocco. That's gonna be a big game and a good game. And I'm sure a lot of the refs are Argentinian, so you can already imagine the talking points if the game goes south for the French. So yeah, man, smash the like button, subscribe. Big up you lot watching it on the rerun. I love and leave you lot, and we link up again soon, man. Peace. Definitely. Always